Morning. What's up, guys? Andrew Curry here for the final installment of the 5 Principles of Tai Chi Chuan. Okay, now I've got a lot to go over this morning, so I'm not going to go through my normal routine of warming up with the form, but I wanted to let you know these 5 principles are something that even Chan Man-ching said he couldn't do through the entire form. So what does that mean for us? I mean, we've got to figure out some way to embody these 5 principles while we're doing the form. One simple way to do that is to just focus on one principle at a time. So now, if you're following my series, you know that the idea of dangling the spine helps to release the lower body and get the legs and hips to bend in their natural way. You also know that Beautiful Lady's Hands talks more about the beauty of the shapes as opposed to anything specific. I mean, you could get into infinite minutia about where your hand is relative to your body and all that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't produce art; it produces robots. So we don't want you to be a robot. We want you to be an artist in your body and learn to play with your Tai Chi that way. So those 2 principles, aesthetically speaking, you've just got to embody. You don't think about them; you just more or less become them. And so we're not going to talk about those too much today, except to know that when you release your spine, you already have a good possibility of setting your body into motion in such a way that makes it very beautiful to watch. Then we can go back and work on the first 3 principles. The first one being basically moving with ease is what kind of the way that I'm beginning to describe it. Moving with ease is moving with your breath. That is, nothing moves unless your breath moves. I used to say when I first started teaching that as long as you were breathing, you could be doing Tai Chi. Okay, and I still believe that. If some kind of bad injury were to happen, maybe break an arm, break a leg, become paralyzed, any of that kind of stuff, as long as you're able to breathe, you can still be breathing through the Dantian, focusing the mind, and then you'll actually have a greater sense of connectedness to your body. That's really the key, focusing your breath in your lower Dantian. Okay, now once we get that going, as I mentioned before, it sets up a natural arching or a gentle movement with the body. That movement can be expressed, emphasized, you might say. You can also walk, that is step out when you inhale, just like that. And in fact, if we take the very first movement of stepping out and going from our normal tension to just our ready to play Tai Chi tension, we're going to say release or exhale into your right leg and then inhale to get that foot to come out. Okay, so that's what we call moving with ease or moving with relaxation. Doesn't matter to me what you call it, but there it is. You're moving with ease and relaxation. Now, if I emphasize just that part of where I'm just letting my breath control my movements, look at what happens. I can emphasize that. I can emphasize it a whole lot more than I am when I'm normally doing form. So I could say, so that would kind of be one way to emphasize just that principle. Now, if you're a beginner to Tai Chi and you see me breathing this fast, your tendency is going to be to go, that's going to cause you to hyperventilate. This has got to be from a compression in the belly and a release. As long as the muscles are down here are allowing me to breathe, I'm always full of air. Okay, I don't have to worry about that hyperventilation tendency. Okay, so that's what you want to focus on. Get those muscles to help you move. Okay, that's the first principle. Do that through the entire form, where you're just focused on that first principle. The second principle of separating yin from yang, that also can get pretty esoteric. But basically it just means knowing which foot you're standing on. So in this case, you're going to step out, so you could just focus on that. So focus on your foot and step. Focus on your other foot, turn in. Focus on both feet, play your first 2 shapes. Okay? And focus on your left foot, warding off with the right hand. Focus on your right foot to step. Focus on your left foot to ward off with the left hand. Then focus on your right foot to play warding off to the right. Left foot is roll away, right foot is press, left and back. Now, once we get into the roll away, press and push, we actually start doing what I call moving steps. That is where your energy is moving backwards and forwards before you actually make a shape. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but you can practice the entire first half of the form with just focusing on which foot you're standing on. It's not a bad idea either, because what I've noticed with a lot of my students is, it's like they're pretty good for a few steps, and then all of a sudden, oh, their foot is coming off the ground, oh, they don't know where the shape is and which foot they're standing on. So you really need to focus here on the second principle of knowing your yin from your yang is really going to be about taking care of the shape. Okay, if this is my shape, knowing that the primary focus, the foundation and the root are coming off the left leg. Okay, this shape, primary focus is on the back foot. Okay, so that'll get you a long way. And then the third shape, and this is one that I particularly like a lot. Master Chin, when he was a young guy, was called snake-waisted. And when I first started playing with him back in the early 80s, he was really, I don't even know how to say it, but his waist was really flexible. Okay, I suspect he's retained a lot of that from videos that I've seen of him recently. He's still pretty snaky as far as his waist goes. But so the idea is that turning at the waist. Now, as you know, if you're following the videos, I don't call it turning at the waist because you're not doing this and this, which you see creates strain in my voice. You're actually opening and closing the hip joint. Okay, and that's primarily, or totally in fact, on one leg or the other. That is, right now I'm on my forward leg. There's about 30%, 30 pounds in my back leg, which is just relaxed weight. It's just hanging out there. In other words, I can pick it up, but not for very long, right? I can't just, I have to completely pick it up, I have to shift my weight a little bit further forward. You don't need all of that weight forward in order to play Tai Chi. You just need to know where your focused, rooted weight is. And that's what we have here in the forward leg. Now, if I'm turning my waist, I feel weight come off of this back foot a little bit. If I open my hip, I feel a little bit more weight going back there. But it's not functioning weight. I'm not putting my root back there. My root is still in the forward leg. So, how do we play that? If we just focus on that, okay? This is one of my favorite principles to practice, because I can really start to just wiggle my waist as I go down, and then step up. Wiggle my waist into this foot, and then turn in. Wiggle my waist back to the middle. Okay, and then I get my arms to rise, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle as I release. Arms to rise, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle down into my left leg. Arms rise, wiggle, step, wiggle, shape, wiggle, step, shape. So you can emphasize just wiggling your waist back and forth. Just think of it primarily as a way of helping you relax. Okay, you're just going to try to get a little bit of wiggle happening before you make a shape. A little bit of wiggle happening before you make a shape. A little bit of wiggle happening before you make a shape. Okay, it doesn't really even matter, as you can see, which shape you decide to make. But get your waist to kind of wiggle a little bit as you release, and then know which foot you're standing on. Boom. Make the shape. Okay? Now those are the three, what I call three functionary principles of Tai Chi Chuan. Moving with ease or moving with the breath, letting your breath be your guide to relaxation. Okay? And then you also want to be able to separate your yin from your yang. That's just knowing which foot you're standing on. And even that, as a standalone practice, can be a very wonderful thing. If you're in a stressful situation, the tendency is to stand on both feet and to get up and get excited. Well, just place your weight in one leg, relax your spine, and now all of a sudden you're feeling a little more grounded. And that, because your feet aren't very far apart, you can just move it back and forth by picking up the weighted foot. Now you notice I say pick up the weighted foot as opposed to shifting your weight. If my weight is on this foot and I want to shift my weight, there's a couple of different ways I can do it. One is, again, moving with ease. I'm going to start turning my waist. At some point it's going to feel like, oh yeah, there's my foot. There's my foot, right? I don't know if you can see that. Let me step back here and see if you can see that a little better. Okay, so there's my foot. Okay, so I'm on my right foot now, but I wiggle my waist as I release, and then I can just stand up easily, and left foot. Okay? Knowing your yin from your yang and turning at the waist. A couple of fine principles that you can use throughout the entire first half of the form, independently of doing the form. Now, eventually you're going to just want to put it all together and just play your Tai Chi. So what I like to say is focus on one principle, go through the form 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and then the 5th or 6th time maybe, forget everything and just enjoy moving. Listening to the birds, listening to the sounds of the outside, looking at the trees, thinking about your baby, whatever it is, just let yourself go. Okay? And then what's really going to start to happen as these 5 principles begin to take over is you'll start feeling, literally feeling the energy coming up from the ground, feeling the energy passing through your dantian, feeling it rising into your hand. I like to call it, creating a shape, creating a bloom, making a flower. So this will be my flower shape this time. Right? And the wonderful thing about being a human being is that, and our human nature is, we can make any flower shape we want. There's millions of them to take care of, and they're all just as beautiful as the next. Okay? So there's the 5 principles arc that we've been working on for the past few months. The next thing I'm going to start getting into is practical use of Tai Chi principles, like when you're outside or when you're picking stuff up. We have a wonderful staircase out here, and I'm going to be putting the guys through their paces this morning, teaching them how to walk up a flight of stairs without using any muscle effort. Okay, no muscle effort whatsoever. So probably in the next couple of weeks you'll see me demonstrating that right here at Bloom Yoga. And class is about to begin, so I'll sign off for now. Thanks for watching. Good luck, good practice. See you soon.